Hey everybody, I am Trevor Dykstra with the Seattle Design Festival, and we're here for another block party debrief where we're going to speak to different designers from years past from the Seattle Design Festival block party. I'm here with one of my co-collaborators, Christine. Hi. And Tyler will also be joining us soon. This week we're going to talk to Uwe Bergk from NBBJ. Hello.
Well,
Uwe, I believe I looked up your official title, but I might have it. Is it Senior Project Architect?
yes.
Yes, at NBBJ. So NBBJ did an installation last year at the Seattle Design Festival. I believe they've done years past. I didn't go digging, but we can look at those as well.
hmm
Um, Maybe you'd like to start us off by just telling us what you did, and I can throw some photos up. The project was called Forest Network.
Yes, exactly.
And take it away. Tell us what it was.
Yeah, it was a collaboration, incredible collaboration between a lot of volunteers. I can't list them here, but there was a larger team made up of NBBJ, but also Berger Partnership, landscape architect, and GLY Construction, and scaffolding company, and Oxbow Nursery to actually realize this pavilion. And actually, you can see the little labels around discs. If we were able to zoom in, that's where we actually labeled or listed all these volunteers and participants. And the pavilion was there to actually, there's so many ideas which were brought to life with this pavilion. One was to actually have a leave behind, a memento, basically, something we can give away to the community where
Mm-hmm.
people actually take something with them. And on top of that, actually, because we decided to go with tree saplings and other plants, to actually plant those in their backyards or their community to actually help with reforestation in Seattle. There are obviously a lot of volunteer organizations in this community already in place. King County has a volunteer group, City of Seattle, and we connected with them and got educated about these initiatives. And we wanted to simply raise awareness with that and give away basically these little plants for people to actually plant in their communities. And the way we did this, so the idea was that at the end of the festival, if nothing is left behind except for the scaffold structure,
Mm-hmm.
then our pavilion would be a success. That everything has gone, and we actually were successful. We had out of 600 plants, we had like 10 or 12 left over, which we then donated in our office. So it was a great success. People really flocked to this pavilion. And what you see here on this image is actually there was a big table set up, a counter style table in the center, where people would basically get informed about this initiative. And then they were, if they're interested, actually chose a plant either from the roof structure or even something sitting on the ground nearby. These plants were actually repotted with them, and while we were doing this, we were helping with that, our volunteers. While we were doing that, we informed them about how to plant a tree sapling successfully, and we even had labeled containers which were biodegradable, which were going into the soil directly, so no waste on that part. And you can
Mm-hmm.
see at the bottom underneath the counter actually these yellow little plugs, we call them. Those went
Mm-hmm.
back to the nursery. So again, the idea was that we didn't want to create waste or give things away for people to dump after the event. So it was all very much environmentally minded, and creating actually hopefully a new tree canopy within Seattle. Seattle is actually in need of more trees. Some
Mm-hmm.
people don't understand that, but there's publications out there where I think our tree coverage should be increased in certain neighborhoods more than in others. So The whole idea behind this pavilion was also from the get-go, leave no trace, nothing behind. So we didn't want to actually build something which after the event we would have to take down and discard somehow, or maybe don't.
Mm-hmm.
I've been on teams where we did that. This time around, we actually decided to work with the general contractor and use a scaffold, a reusable item which we see over the town hall everywhere and all the time. So these scaffolding elements, the metal piping basically, was after the event taken down and put back to use. We obviously worked with the scaffold company to design this a little more unique approach to scaffolding,
Mm-hmm.
and there was a fantastic collaboration. We used 3D modeling to create this shape and then got approval from the folks with the scaffolding. And then the whole canopy was sort of formed by using hemp,
Mm-hmm.
sisal rope, 1/4 inch diameter. We bought over 3,000 feet of it, and hemp or sisal is actually biodegradable.
Mm-hmm.
A natural product again. However, at the end of the event, the scaffold company said, can we take these loop ropes because we actually use that to tie off stuff. So again, even the roping or the threads making this shape ultimately were put back into use. And ultimately, if they don't use it anymore, it's biodegradable as well. So
Yeah.
yeah, at the end of the event, everything sort of disappeared. We had limited discard, only a few items, like a one bucket full maybe. And even the plant holders, you can see them were custom designed. These are actually cardboard or chipboard recyclable elements, which we at NBBJ carefully designed to fit in these 4-inch spaced hemp or size
Mm-hmm.
ropes. And those were actually laser cut in our model shop at NBBJ. And we produced over 400 of them. Yep, very good. To fit just perfectly in between the ropes. And then once then done, we collected them and recycled those. So there was a little bit of a recycling component as well.
Mm-hmm.
These yellow plastic plugs were returned to the nursery. And as I started saying, there was a huge collaboration. We got a really great discount and from the nursery on those plants. So we bought them basically and gave them away for free.
Mm-hmm.
Partnership, our partner from Landscape, they looked into what constitutes a local forest and underbrush all the way to tall trees and what we should actually be giving away, not just any plant, but very carefully selected. Yeah, and then the contractor slash scaffold companies, they supported us with the erection of it. And then we had lots of people signed up day in and day out, basically, to volunteer to be at the booth. So it was
Yes.
more engaging with the public one on one rather than just having them walk around and appreciate the shape. It was like
Mm-hmm.
in and take something with you. That was really the whole mantra, and it was exciting to see the reaction of the public, whoever showed up there. It was fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, you mentioned it's a partnership
Mhm.
with GLI and Berger, and of course the scaffold
Yeah.
contractor. So how did that form? Did you, as part of your initial proposal, had you decided already to partner with these two other groups, or was this something that came about as you planned your installation?
Um, Good question. That was early on our mind. So we started small at NBBJ, about
Mm-hmm.
10 to 11 individuals sat down. And in part, there was also our EGD group, the graphic design group. We have a studio at NBBJ. I didn't even actually get into the signage part. I might come back to that a little bit later.
Oh yeah.
But so we formed a small team and started early, about this time of year, if I remember correctly, and then quickly realized, we had this conceptual baseline, but we need help basically. So it was actually on us to reach out to, mostly me, asked around, one of the GCs who we typically work with, and approached two companies, and GLY started saying, yeah, we we think we can support you. We showed them our design in the early stages, and then that team built, and then GLI brought in PCI construction. Oh, there's a signage. Here's my.
Yeah.
So the signage, actually, even the forest network lettering, we also experimented with a new something which is happening out there, especially in the Northwest, which is called mycelium. So this is actually, we grew the signage by using mushroom fungi material, which is underground. It's not the actual mushroom, but the network underground. And you can actually already buy it. It's been used in construction nowadays. So it's very exciting for insulation. It's very lightweight and also completely biodegradable. But you can actually create forms and shapes, and then you basically bake it for a little bit so it hardens. And then you can apply signage, or again, even make letter shapes, like the forest network lettering over the top.
So that, I didn't realize that's mycelium.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So that was over the top. That was actually
Go back
the
to
lettering.
that.
We grew it into shape. So built little cardboard forms. Yep, that one.
Yeah.
And,
Wow.
And then it grew into it, and then we baked it, and it becomes actually something akin to almost styrofoam in terms of weight and strength, but obviously the opposite of styrofoam, because it's after the event you can actually just toss that in your backyard and it just
Dissolve.
goes
Yeah.
back to the soil. So for us that was also new, exciting. So we used the design festival to explore different stuff, to experiment on our own, so that we have also a takeaway within our design community, looking back to it. So
you gain some insight from it, rather than
right.
just it being an opportunity to show off,
That's
off,
right.
so to speak. Yes, I agree.
Yeah. And then going back to the teaming, in the process, as we then later on realize, okay, we're talking plants, saplings, we don't want them to die during the event, and also be successful. If we follow through with it, we want to be as successful as possible to have people actually plant them. And we pulled in a landscape architect, Berger Partnership in this case, to say, can you advise us on, and they brought in then Oxbow Nursery, and we had meetings and work sessions where, what kind of plant, how do we do this successfully? And we don't have a close-up of the actual pots where we gave away, where we even printed out, again, our signage group printed out label with the team name on it, etc., but also instructions how to plant it, how to water it, so that we did the utmost to make this a successful giveaway, instead of just, hey, see what you can do with it.
Well, before you came on air, Christine was talking about her plant and whether it survives.
Yeah, did it survive or not? It's the question.
I went away for about a week, and then when I came back, all the leaves had wilted and everything. I believe I picked up one of the ginger root flowers. So I cut down all the leaves, and it's still growing by my window, and it's about an inch tall now. So I'm still keeping it. I'm still growing it.
Yeah, that's great. So I took 3 home with me, and unfortunately, I planted them in my backyard. Conditions perfect, but some rabbit or deer or something came by and bit off 2 of the 3 before I could even look at it. It's like the second day it was gone. And so I hope maybe it comes back, but the other plant actually survived. So I have a sort of half success rate there. But nature kicked in, and a deer or a rabbit something came by and was hungry and ate it.
Took it away.
Yeah.
I
Anyway,
do recall at the festival that there was a very active installation. There was something
yeah,
visiting it, and it was interactive to see participating, and I'm
yeah,
curious, like, and I'm sorry I missed the um um seems like intentional of how to construct, like you used a real innovative way of scaffolding, right?
yeah,
Typically used, but you started with you usually build something that you use scaffolding as, and I'm curious about the process and how you inclusion.
yeah. You're cutting out a little bit. You're curious about how we
The
arrived at that point, the decision to use scaffolding?
Yes, the decision
Yeah,
to use scaffolding.
Yeah.
She might have hit on a little bit there.
Yeah. So I think, not to pat myself on the shoulder too much, but I've been participating in this design festival a couple of times I worked for different firms. One was SRG, and then Encore before the pandemic happened, and it was always exciting, and also the setup was always great, but I felt after the event it was hard what do you do with this, the structure you build to create, even if it's just hanging other things or signage.
Mm-hmm.
And back then, I also tried to get it donated. We approached people, so follow up after months and months afterwards. And so it was actually me early on in those first meetings where we started to conceptualize things that I put out this notion out there. Can we do something which, are you still there, you guys? I just see myself right now.
Yeah. I just was making
Okay.
you. I was featuring you. Sorry, we'll stay
Okay.
on screen.
So, so anyway, I was putting that notion out there, planted a little seed saying, is there somehow a way that when the festival is over, we don't have to, um, destroy something or dump it
Mm-hmm.
in worst case? And
Yeah.
so we all talked about it, and then we talked about structures which can be erected and taken down. And lo and behold, after just the first 2 weeks, we were like, oh, scaffolding could be. But we quickly realized not any scaffolding. We want to make it work in the way we intended. And so we looked for inspiration, and there's been artists, actually. We've seen
Mm-hmm.
artistic implementations over in Europe, in France, and other places where people did something very similar, actually. And that's how we got started. And then it was a lot of work working with the GC and the scaffolding. I think they're called PCI, I believe, who, to get them off their typical bandwagon, it needs to be structured. It needs to hold, 500 pounds at the top. And we said, no, it's not a typical scaffold. Nobody will actually work on top of that structure.
Yeah.
It's really just
Exactly. Yeah.
an envelope we're creating, and so forth. And so we went and negotiated with them. It wants to be obviously stiff and not collapse, but it was a lot of back and forth. And you can see that we did a very simple move on it to have just two opposite sloping diagonals, very simple, and we push them out of the plane of the vertical structure. Really, two very simple adjustments, and the scaffold folks bought into it, and they said, "Yeah, we can do this," and
Great. Yeah.
and just a couple of standard couplings, and obviously they had to cut a few pipes to length, but that was it. And then they picked it back up. It was pretty incredible how it ended up working itself out.
I remember watching everyone build it, and they had scaffolding built around the scaffolding to
Yes,
actually put it into place.
that's
Which,
right.
like the before, the after, and all of that. Did you document any of the like construction of it, like hourly or through the process or any of that?
We have pictures, the kind of quick phone snapshot pictures. So we actually have a photo album. I could maybe go back and try and share that out with you. All the steps. One of my colleagues also did, a phone video, just walk around. However, what I'm seeing in terms of material you guys have, that looks so
We have quite a bit of
delicious.
collateral of it, yeah. And I have some flyovers that I don't even have shown
I
here.
know flyovers are so powerful, so we don't have that.
Yeah, that's been a new addition in this. When we were downtown or in Occidental Park, drone shots you couldn't really ever get, and now all of a sudden we're in this big open park, and so we're taking advantage while we can. Yours in particular, the city came to me afterwards, and they were very worried because they saw scaffold. And was there a forklift here? How did they get it up? It's like, no, they worked to the scaffold.
Yeah.
You can kind of climb on it, but
is it code compliant?
yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I made sure they thought it was great. So they're pleased. Yeah, this one in particular, I mean, Claire, you've done more than this year. You know that like a lot of these installations get built and then you wonder what happened, and it seems like a lot of effort and a lot of stuff, and it's like, well, where did it go? What happened?
Yeah.
We talked about this last week with Jack, this sort of idea, like those of us who've done this many times, you start to realize like, A, it's a couple days, B, it's a lot of effort, and C, where does those things go? Like, so yours really hit that design parameter of temporary, and none of this stuff needs to kind of stick around on the planet. We can biodegrade or go away or be disassembled by folks. One question I had, I didn't prep you in advance for this, so feel free to not answer or not share. But I am curious about asking teams if you're comfortable sharing how much your installation costs. Again, in the idea of like this video being for other people who might get involved. We've talked about some of the labor involved and like the hard work. You start at the beginning of the year and then it goes till August to get this working. But whether you're comfortable sharing, financially, did it take a large investment, or were you able to source a lot of this stuff via donation or?
Yeah, it was actually a combination. So NBBJ is definitely committed, for instance, to support this, and actually NBBJ is a supporter of the Seattle Design Festival, so that already bought us the entry, basically, if you will. And then I don't have it obviously at my fingertips, but we budgeted this out. Actually, this was like a real project in many ways. We had code compliance with the scaffold, everything like that.
And then we have all our rules, yeah.
And then we budgeted out what does it cost to, purchase this ISO 3000. I think it was 3,500 feet, actually, amazing.
Wow.
Then the plants and other auxiliary things surrounding it. The signage we obviously grew, but so there was a little bit of purchase of the mycelium. So a lot of sweat equity went into it, as you can see.
Yeah, I mean, time-wise, the mycelium, you got to take time to. Did you grow it? Yeah. So there's that. Yeah, you got to.
So we started growing this stuff like a month or so in advance. So there was a lot of planning. We knew the deadline is coming up, the installation. We planned out also that the installation was, going like this. Based on my experience with previous Seattle Design Festivals, so it was definitely carefully planned. Budget-wise, there was kind of a couple of buckets of sorts. The plants, the rope, the scaffold, and a couple of other things. But it turned out that that's why a team is so critical. So that GC took on responsibility for the scaffold, for instance. So
Yeah.
there was a cost associated with it, but basically the GC donated the cost of the erection and takedown. So we didn't buy the scaffold, we just paid kind of the rental fee and the time to set it up.
Oh, excellent.
Berger, our landscape architect, they took care of the plans actually, pretty much. So, and then the rest was on NBBJ. And so you can see that it was kind of split, and there were numbers attached to it, which I can't give you right now because I just don't have them.
That's all right. I mean, that's useful in how you thought about it,
People are interested in. But you have to, a couple of $1,000 goes into this. And I think any of the other pavilions was in that category. I mean, it just, in this day and age, it just costs money to do it. But if you spread it out over a team, and especially if you, for instance, a GC has constant access and also a collaborative relationship to something like scaffold, in this case, then things go much easier, and there's a little more of an agreement. Oh yeah, sure, we can do this. So
yeah.
You read of treating it as a real project, right? You need to schedule. You need these things when not only.
Yeah, but you're cutting out. Sorry, I'm having a hard time understanding.
Is my audio not working real well?
It's still cutting in and out again a little bit. You were talking though about, I think the gist you're saying, you treat it like a real project. Yes.
Yes, absolutely. A lot of project management went into it to really meet the timelines, not just the submittal to your group to get reviewed. We knew we have to nail certain things by such and such time and leave kind of the easy stuff towards the end. But ordering the plans, getting those actually ready. There were a lot of pieces out there. Yeah.
I have, we talked about sort of outcomes and how it worked. Is there anything that you thought, it was going to work one way and then it worked out a different way, or maybe just didn't work out as far as process or how the things worked for you?
No, I felt overall, personally, and we can ask other team members, that everything clicked in the end. There were moments where we had doubts in terms of, is this going to work? For instance, the scaffold, we actually had a full-size mock-up done because we didn't want to risk showing up on Friday afternoon and it's not going to hold up. So that was an amazing contribution from the scaffold people. We drove down to South Seattle where their warehouse is and everything. And, so again, that's a little more project management. So we tried to really organize it so we didn't have any bad surprises. Were there some? Yes, but small things we were able to fix. For instance, I did order not enough rope, so we had to buy something the day of installation.
Yep.
We were out a few feet, maybe 50 feet or so out of the 3,000 some.
Yeah.
And what else? I mean, no, it all kind of worked itself out with some, moments where it's like, oh, is this going to work? But everything clicked, and everybody who contributed, the signage, for instance, they showed up prepared and did hang it, and it was, So for us, it was also a success to see this through.
Yeah. I mean, mock-up is huge. I know for my own, we try to get done the week, or at least a few days before, so we can put it up and just. Because the worst case scenario is you're there and then something's missing, like you said, and then you're scrambling. There is a little bit of time between finishing building and the event the next day, but you never want to be there kind of trying to set up stuff. Tyler, one of his questions, Tyler's going to text him in here with the audio issues. Do you have advice for others? I think we've hit a few things, but do you have any other advice you would give? Say somebody's brand new to this,
Oh,
and
yeah,
it's
yeah.
like, okay, I want to give you one piece of advice with this.
Yeah.
What would it be,
Before I do that, I just looking at this image again, I wanted to mention one thing, and then we'll get into that, is the ropes.
Yeah.
We didn't want to spend a lot of money on hardware. We looked at a lot of things, and and we were concerned that it would slip on the diagonal and things like that. So we really got into tying knots and how to do a trucker's bend, and so this is all hand tied, each rope, and I forgot how many there were, hand tied,
There's a
and
lot.
attention to detail. Actually, no hardware. They all wrap around the. We had to space them perfectly 4 inches for the plant drivers. And when I came back the next morning after the first day, the ropes had drooped a little bit because of the moisture overnight.
Yeah.
So we went back and tightened up a few and things like that. So it worked out in the end. There were some moments where it's like, oh, it's going to hold up. But going back to advice for other teams. I mean, yeah, plan early and get a good team together, larger than you normally think, because anything you do, any of those pavilions, this is actually a bigger effort than it might seem. You might walk by and be inspired to see these pavilions, which I hope it happens, and you think, oh, it's a 10 by 20-foot thing. Yeah, this is a project in itself. So starting early and keeping at it. So what we did actually is have regular, once a week, actually sometimes twice a week.
That's great advice.
Constantly
Yes.
scheduled meetings to just keep at it. If you lose that momentum in the beginning or midway through, you will not make it. So just we have to make everybody aware we're doing this, no matter what the outcome is, actually. But let's just keep working towards
Keep
that.
plugging away. Yeah.
That's
I like working backwards from the date. It's
Yeah.
like, okay, it's this date, and you just start figuring out, like, well, if we meet every week, it's this many times. We meet every week, it's this many times. It's like, well, is that enough time to actually build this thing? And that kind of,
So we actually had to schedule a little dynamic calendar, and and then new team members were invited. We realized we needed a landscape architect to support that. So that's definitely one advice. I think engaging with you guys early on. So for instance, I remember that we negotiated sort of the siting for architects. I think it's very important to cite this exhibit, whatever it is. So
yours was quite big, and so if you come to us with the festival, there's a process where you submit, and even when you submit to us, if you say, hey, we're thinking this part of the park, we can work that into our initial concepts. But even right after that, we'll usually send out a thing, and if people reach out right then, it's very easy to move things around. As the further we go, the harder it gets. So
exactly.
of course,
and I think my advice to new teams would be, take that serious. Think about siting as well, not just the object, so that it sits well, that people are able to see it and from all sides, and there's and also how it fits the overall context, master planning style. And I collaborated with you guys early on to say, we have this size and we want people to be able to walk around it, and so forth. And that was part of the success. We had such a great site. So that was helpful. And then, volunteers, man, I mean, it takes a lot of people to do this.
yes.
And also make sure that, in my view, but that's a personal view, when you create something like this, be fully committed for those 2 days instead of just setting something up and leaving.
Yes.
Have people there to engage with the public and talk to them about what the design intent is. We had so many great conversations with people who had questions, what this is this about, and okay, and so we had at a minimum 3 folks constantly there, sometimes 4 or 5, and we sort of had a calendar with little shifts mapped out to make sure that people are there, not just for the setup, but also the duration of the event. I felt that was very important to be there and so forth. So, and I've seen other displays, and it depends on the design too. We obviously were going for that interactive part, but I've seen other displays which looked a little, forlorn. People walked around it and didn't know what to make of it, and so. And all that effort you put into is you don't reap the reward. It's all about being there and talking to people. Then you feel like that sense of, we did something special here. If you don't show up, it's like, I don't know.
Yes, being prepped for the marathon of it. It's 3 days and 3 pretty long days when you count the setup day as well as the event days. But I agree. The value of being able to talk to people and explain what you did and why you did is valuable to yourself as a designer.
Because
again, you're kind of just learning how this is a novelty thing, and so you probably tried some new things and you're exploring some stuff. That hands-on connection with folks, I think, is hyper useful.
And these were kind of the underpinning ideas for early on. The no waste. It's ephemeral, so let's make it such, and then also connect with the community and outwards, and even give things away so that it's a memorable thing. It's not just this quick walk by, okay, it looks good, and then leave. So we really were quite interested in accomplishing that, and I think we did, actually.
It's complete success, I think. So. Christy or Tyler, anything else?
I was gonna ask, like, knowing everything that you know now and through all of your past experience and everything, is there anything that you would have done differently? Like, if you had to give yourself advice on how to do something, would you tell yourself anything?
No, not really. I think with this latest edition, I participated in with different firms a few times down at Occidental, for instance, and I took already all the lessons learned and kind of guided the team towards this idea of. I didn't actually design this piece really. It was more on the operational side and the underpinnings. This is what this should be, kind of the whole notion of it being ephemeral and connecting with the community. So I felt that I got into a place where I wanted to be, and it turned out to be, with the help of a lot of people, I keep saying that, got to that place. So what else can I say? Also a thing in regards to how you organize it, I felt it was well supported. The messaging worked out well. It took me a while because of the system you guys have set up to.
The submittable system is new to folks.
I had a little bit of a threshold to really get into it.
The old days where we used to just email back and forth. In some ways, we're more
fluid. So, but it's okay. Once I got kind of used to it, it worked out just fine. But then, the support was always there. Like I said, we talked about citing, made some adjustments. The support doing with the setup and the takedown was fantastic. So I think this whole event, the block party event of the design festival, that's the only one I can speak to. Is great.
Yeah, it's our favorite part of it.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
What's a little confusing to me, but you guys are at the helm, is there's the other events, and I'm honest, I only focus on the block party event.
Yeah.
There's a bigger ship to sail, and I think you hopefully collect some input and feedback from the other groups as well.
Yes. Yeah. And that's a convo that has been happening. The block party, when we came up with it back in the day, was for this reason. If we do this big showy thing with a lot of people in one spot, there's critical mass, and it draws a little more attention, and folks kind of bring a little more, and it builds upon itself. And the trick is the other parts of the festival have never had that cohesive thing. And so as we've gone over the years, they're trying different things and experimenting. And of course, this year there's some things we don't announce yet, but like things coming that we'll be trying to reiterate on that critical mass aspect, or things that we can promote the thing rather than the individual bits, which helps it feel a little more cohesive, and everybody benefits. The fact we've got a firm like yours or like Tyler's that are doing these larger things benefit when we have folks doing an installation that is very small. Around the corner from yours, there was someone doing an installation that was about 2 foot square, and if it was just them in the park, well, that that's overwhelmed by this space. All these things, they benefit from folks coming to see the big showy things, and you benefit from folks coming to see the small thing, or engaging directly with programs there and stuff. So the idea of that cycle, and we want to bring that to the whole festival. But
I could see that you make maybe if they let you associations with the Center for Wooden Boats or even Mohai, and create little breakout situations where you just let people experience the big showy stuff, but also venture over to other places so that you can have that and not schedule it at a different time, because then you break it apart so much.
Well, you might be excited about ideas that are being pitched for this year.
Good.
We had a little bit of that last year. We had the fireboat that's around the corner. They integrated with the festival last year and had a thing in the block party, and you could also go to the fireboat. We're trying to find ways that doesn't feel so separate over there. But there's so many great programs already in that park that pulling that in together, I think only benefits everyone. It gives us, these designers, some public benefit beyond just us showing our art or our design, and we're helping lift up those museums. So it's great stuff.
Question, what was my question? I just lost the train of thought there. How well received is this event actually? Do you have any sense or data even that
we do? That's a good question. We put that out there on there. So we've got every year our key indicator for the block party is a head count, right? So they're actually walking around. You may have seen them last year walking around every 20 minutes. Hour is the count, but like there's sort of a cycle to folks walking around counting everybody they can see. And then there's some math there in terms of figuring out how many people are actually there over the course of a day. The head count over the weekend, generally in the last several years, hovers around 10,000 people over the course of the weekend. Feel like we can go way beyond that. When we were down at Occidental, obviously that would go way above, because we're benefiting from, there would be a Seahawks game or a Mariners thing. Some of that may not, like we're counting those folks because they were in the park, but they're not necessarily there, where now when we're in this space, largely the folks are there for us or for those things on the boats. So it's a little more telling now that we're here. But it's been a success. The 2020 dim things, and then you can feel it. The first year back, 2021 was smaller than it had been in 2019, and then last year was a little bit back to normal. It feels like we're kind of back on the build to the next level thing. So we feel like it's a success.
About 10,000, you say? That's pretty impressive. I had no idea. I just when you volunteer at the pavilion for a couple of hours, you just don't. You just see
you see your own thing and you miss everything else. Or even I have my own installation, but then I'm also photographing, and so I only see everything for about 2-3 minutes as a here or there, and never really get to experience anything at all. Like I didn't know that the letters are mycelia, like all that stuff. It's just very quickly going from thing to thing. So this is exciting. All right, well, I think we're we're at 45 minutes.
Great.
We should say bye to everybody. Hang around for a sec, Uwe. For everybody who's watching in the future here, if you want to know more about the Seattle Design Festival, you can visit cdesignfest.org. There, it's on the screen. Our call for proposals will be coming out in April. Somebody shake their head if I'm not saying that right. And so we're working on that now, but you can get involved early on. We'll be hosting some meetings and mixers and things before we even have the call go out. So, of course, feel free to check out that website or follow us on any of our social media. Uwe, thank you very much for joining. We hope you'll be part of the festival next year.
Mm-hmm. Right.
All righty. We'll see you, everybody.